Wonderful. Okay, Audrey, you can take it away now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Island and Finance series. I'm Audrey Joachim. I'm the Director of Sales and Growth at Island Innovation. Very happy to be here and to host a new episode of this series with Sandra Hart, CEO of Emerging Impact, which is a DeFi neobank. And the idea in this series is to highlight a financial entity, and we've been partnering and doing great stuff with Sandra for the past year. So very exciting to have you here, Sandra. How are you?
I'm great, Audrey. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you today. So, you know the dynamic. We are around the finance forum, and we are all thinking about how do we share those best practices around the financial solutions for the island and remote territories. And so what type of financial services do you provide in Emerging Impact?
Yeah, sure. So Emerging Impact is a decentralized finance company, which means that we deliver a suite of financial services that are built on blockchain infrastructure and that are crypto enabled. You know, it's not necessarily to buy and sell cryptocurrency, but what we believe in, you know, when we're offering these services is that this type of infrastructure, and if you look at the history of blockchain technology and crypto, the best use case is really finance, you know, and it's sending payments from one point to another. And we really see this as an opportunity to close the financial services gap that we see in all of these vibrant island and other emerging markets, you know, globally. So specifically speaking, the majority of our customers at this point in time are organizational customers. Virtually all of them are international humanitarian agencies or large DeFi or crypto ecosystems that have a social impact goal or objective and who want to work with actors on the ground, you know, so who are based in Vanuatu, that are based in Ecuador, that are based in South Africa, East Africa, Haiti. And they want to partner with us because what we offer is these last mile payments. So it's basically an infrastructure to offer crypto-enabled last mile payments using stable coins. So we do not dabble in the volatile cryptocurrency. And the set of tools that we offer can take the form of mass or bulk payments, so big payouts. And this is what we do with our humanitarian partners, is provide payments to people affected by crises fully digitally, like from the head office all the way down to the individual receiving. We also have the functionality through the creation of these digital wallets for both people and business people on the ground to do peer-to-peer payments and also point of sale payments to and between these digital wallets. And that's really important because one of our operating models is that if you want to empower people with financial services, you have to empower the entire economy around those people. And there is a massive amount of untapped wealth that sits in the informal economies that we see everywhere, from the Caribbean, you know, talking islands here, although we work on the mainland too, you know, from the Caribbean to the Indian Ocean to the Pacific region, and even the Mediterranean, where people are a bit disconnected. When people access these digital wallets for organizations, we have a dashboard to manage the payment process. So they can just click a button and disperse to 50 people or 1,000 or 50,000 people who will then receive it into their digital wallet. We offer a WhatsApp interface. So for people who already have smartphones, they can receive those payments that way. For local merchants, including informal business people, we offer a portable commerce interface. So it acts as a point of sale device and a digital wallet all in one, so they can accept payments from people receiving assistance. And then lastly, but definitely not leastly, there are many, many people across the islands and across the world who are underserved that we target who don't have phones at all. And for those individuals to be able to engage with the system, we use tap and pay cards. So they can just tap their payment against a vendor's phone and still be able to use the money that's being provided through our service.
And that's very interesting to see how it taps to different type of people. And so there is a question that comes to my mind is, what is the reaction of the people who do not know, about crypto and those new devices and access to cash? And you said merchant or people who don't even have a cell phone. How do you explain to them what is happening?
Yeah. Well, we explain it to them in terms of spendable money, that is sitting inside a device, as opposed to being in cash or being inside their wallet. I think that the key here is, and I think I even said this in one of the previous conferences, is that, it's not always necessary to explain what is blockchain, or what is crypto. What you are explaining is that you are going to receive money that you can spend in your neighborhood, in your community, in your economy immediately. The only difference is that it's not going to be in cash. It's going to be in this form. And for most people, all of those reactions are extremely happy, because most of the people we work with are occupied with putting food on the table, in their family, taking care of their household economy. And so what they are more concerned with is, can I spend this money? Can having this money help me save money elsewhere? Can I use this device to save money is a question that I've had. Can I use this device to run my business? Can my sister use it? Can my auntie use it? Those are the types of reactions and questions that we get. But the best reaction that I ever saw was from a woman, and she was a farmer and a merchant that was selling fresh food in one of the markets in Santo Espiritu, which is the largest island in Vanuatu. Over the age of 60, never had a phone, never even touched a smartphone, and so we also offer that sort of digital literacy training built into our deployments. And when she took a card and tapped the card against the phone, there's like a little noise and a check mark. And you see the vendor sees the money go into their digital wallet. And she jumped up and started like yelling. She was like, what? And she was smiling and she was laughing. And it was a test. It was test money. And she did it like over and over. And she was like, now I want to do it with her. And now I want to do it with her. And now I want to do it with her. And she was like, this can change my life, and it is really that moment that is the most explanatory for everybody.
So to understand how it works, so she was receiving the money through that system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people pay what she was producing with another similar devices.
Exactly. So this was a program where the majority of people that we were targeting in Vanuatu that were affected by a cyclone, people with disabilities, women that have, a lot of children, are single mothers, elderly people, are people who typically did not have phones. So they received this NFC card, which is, simple plastic, easy. There's no like swipe and then put in the PIN code or whatever, and with those cards, people like her, the whole system becomes much more accessible, but also it becomes more accessible for the people that she knows and that she lives with in her community. And so what was happening was she was going to the market, every day during the week, on the weekend, and selling fresh fruits and vegetables, but only just had to have this smartphone to accept those payments. Completely safe. That's a great feedback we've gotten from a lot of women in these programs, is the cashless nature of the system, makes them feel safe. And, finally, I think for everybody, and this is important for the explanation here, we always have local off-ramp or cash out options, so people are accumulating money on their device, but they're then able to click a cash out button on that device and have that money deposited either into a mobile money wallet or into their bank account, or in exceptional places, the organizations that we work with will offer a cash pickup option.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So what do you keep in mind? What type of challenges or specific circumstances do you have to keep in mind when you provide those services?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest one that I also get questions about is really this question of the digital divide, right? And I mentioned it earlier, that many people do not have smartphones. It's a question of digital access. and digital literacy, right? Many people do not have smartphones. Smartphones are too expensive to buy in the country that they live in. Some people don't even have analog phones, right? Or they may have these devices or be familiar with these devices, but not fully know how to use them. And because we work with underserved populations, so these are people who are, for example, like Venezuelan refugees who are women with kids in Ecuador, displaced, and need a way to receive assistance. It's, Haitian people in southern Haiti that are affected by an earthquake. In the case of Vanuatu, it was a cyclone, COVID, and a volcano at the same time. So you're working with people in crisis that have acute needs, and it is so important to build an engagement model that really meets people where they are, but also that interacts with people through organizations that they trust. And that's the role of our partners on the ground. So it's kind of like we're providing a service, but we still need the networks that then connect to these really rich community networks on the ground. And that is time intensive, but what I tell people when they're like, oh, your business model, how can you make money that way? I'm like, well, how can the global economy continue to run by excluding, by some estimates, what's like 30% of the world's wealth is circulating in these informal markets, in these shadow economies. So if we all want to build wealth together, then really investing in that interaction to give people the opportunity to learn to engage with the technology is the first step to expanding access to mass adoption, and to blockchain and crypto honestly staying true to the promise, of being world changing, not just for some, but for everybody.
Interesting. And so really the main challenge from what I understand, it's actually the access to the digital device, and not such as educating on the blockchain. It's actually making sure that it's to get access to to give access to those people. And so for now, can you give us just a description of your most significant project to date? What are you proud of?
Yeah. So last year, the significant project, at both IFF, and the Virtual Island Summit was our project with Oxfam in Vanuatu. It's a project that went to scale, and it was really the first time that this type of model had been used using a blockchain-based platform. Since then, Emerging Impact has piloted our product in 4 countries. We've done feasibility studies. Six months ago, partnered with the Cello Foundation and the organization Hope for Haiti in Lekai, which is the epicenter of the earthquake, the new earthquake, the second earthquake that hit Haiti last year, when it was already obviously in a very difficult situation with the assassination of the president and with civil unrest. In the middle of planning and designing that pilot, we had Coinbase giving. So as in Coinbase, like the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, that came into the pilot and offered to double the size of the pilot and extend the pilot to 6 months in time. So we're all really excited about it. Actually, the local vendors who sell in the markets in Lekai are getting trained today. On how to use the devices. So I've been, interacting with them, but it's significant for a few key reasons. So one of them is when you provide 6 months of assistance that connects people, that basically is injecting money into the local economy in a way that is connecting people with their neighborhood businesses, that is a game changer for that area. That length of assistance is the difference between surviving a disaster and recovering from a disaster for those households, but not just for those households, but for everybody around those households. So that's one. The second one was, our new partnership with Coinbase Giving, which is massive, because this provides a completely different level of opportunity for our partners that we pilot with, but it also provides a new level of visibility and also the opportunity to scale in new and different ways. Coinbase has immense networks globally. The question of off-ramping funds and being able to cash out is something that we discuss with Coinbase regularly with. And we can finally also tackle very large programs. So we've been having discussions about the Ukraine response, for example, where you have people on the move that need portable humanitarian assistance. And lastly, I lived in Haiti for 3.5 years, right? It's a country that's very close to my heart. I lived there after the first earthquake, well, not the first in their history, but the 2010 earthquake. And I love the idea, if you know the history of Haiti, this is Negmao, right? These are the people, the first Black people in the world that rose up to say, this system does not work for us, and it's almost like culturally and historically, this is a massive moment for Haiti itself. The fact that this type of innovation is happening there, the fact that it is a country that has survived many of the worst events that we would all consider throughout its history, but it's also a country that has one of the most vibrant, informal, and resilient informal economies that I've ever seen. So I think the fact that it's like the unusual suspects, especially after Vanuatu, that are using this technology, I think it really sets an example for everybody, and it lowers kind of what the barriers we think are that exist when it comes to using it.
I agree with you, because without, any judgment, I guess I was always, a bit sad to hear that, IT is always seen as a corrupted, and here you may not want to actually provide help or financial help because you don't know where it's going. And I guess at least for people who can hear, what we are presenting today, and that can also maybe help an island such as this one to access cash and also help with the blockchain. And that's what the power of blockchain is trackable, is everything can be tracked, it's visible. So on the same side, it's resolved two things, which is first the traceability of the access of the capital, and also such a large island, because how many people you have in Haiti? I mean, this is a huge project also, and to be able to scale it at a larger scale. So that's very, very, very great for me to see it can go from different such of island territory. And so question is, so you usually NGOs comes to you, right, to implement those projects? That's what it is.
Yeah, or we go to them also, because, in the international humanitarian world, even when it comes to long-term development and infrastructure, everybody is concerned with this question of transparency and accountability. Where did the money go? Who received it? How did they use it? And so we can finally, but also like, how do you give it? How do you deliver it with the most impact? And what we're offering really is an all-in-one solution that really makes it easier for those organizations and practitioners to do their job, but also faster for people to be able to receive, when they're in a state of crisis. So I think that definitely goes to your point, but we're also looking to other organizational customers. It could be businesses that want to run payroll. In Tanzania, we're looking at a very interesting agribusiness pilot model that is designed to digitize the payments across the agricultural supply chain so that farmers can aggregate and sell together, so that agro dealers can offer lines of credit, which they usually do informally, right? But in the form of a WhatsApp wallet, in the form of a traceable system where people can pay back more quickly and digitally, but also so that farmers can get that money before they need to start planting or before they need to start harvesting. So there are heaps of possibilities, but I think the speed of delivery has improved, the cost of delivery goes down, and the level of transparency goes up. And that honestly benefits everyone.
Impressive. In 1 year, the last time we spoke, it's very impressive for us to look at the evolvement of things. I guess, hearing those organizations such as Coinbase also getting involved, and to also acknowledge those territories. I guess this is very important for our audience and for us. And for me, I'm here in Guadeloupe, and it's just tiny island with 400,000 people. But so that's very very nice to see that those large companies acknowledge also to be implemented and to be there in those territories. So yes, the future is really in the blockchain, and we're really happy to dive a bit deeper during the finance forum. And so, and why, last question for you, Sandra, is why do you think, events such as the finance forum is necessary?
Well, I think that it's necessary to be a voice in the room that says everybody can access this. There is a way to do that. That's one. But also, I think in the Island Finance Forum, what really interests me and what I think interests everybody is the fact that islands are like, and this is really where this business model came from. Islands are distributed by nature, right? This is decentralized finance. This is distributed ledger technology. And so I think at a regional level for island regions, this isn't just about being able to deliver payments to people or have people interact, financially and digitally more quickly. It's also about islands being able to connect their economies together. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. To be able to to decentralize these services across the entire region in a way that is easy to access, that's transparent, but also allows for the trading of wealth between those communities. As we all know, people in the islands, whether it's the Caribbean or the Pacific, or elsewhere, are moving between the islands also. Wealth is moving between the islands, and so if somebody from Hope for Haiti can press a button in Connecticut or Florida to distribute cash to people in Southern Haiti, there's no reason why, somebody in Guadeloupe can't do the same thing for somebody in Martinique, why a business in Barbados, cannot pay out staff that are across 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 islands, or why a regional organization, so I'm thinking about like CARICOM, the Inter-American Development Bank, there's no reason why they cannot distribute their assistance to island governments, island organizations, and island people across multiple locations at the same time. We know hurricane season is coming up, right? Mm-hmm. And we know that hurricanes don't have borders, right? They don't care. Natural disasters will cross the islands like a wave, and what we need to be thinking about is what are the parallels here that tell us that islands are particularly well suited, to these use cases and to using the technology in this way.
This is something that I get out of this is really, and that's, I guess, the consequence of the island settings, which is everything takes time to go and to go there, right?
Shipping.
So that's very interesting. And as you mentioned, banks also are included in that discussions. It's not only for private companies, for NGOs, but banks. The banking system is also concerning by that type of solutions. Well, Sandra, thank you very much for this great conversation. For everyone who is listening to us, you can know more and way more during the finance forum that will happen from April next month, 25th to 29th. We'll talk around 6 tracks. One will be blockchain and cryptocurrency. We'll have climate finance, risk and insurance, renewable energy finance, blue economy, and the startup ecosystem. So register now. You'll find Sandra probably jumping around during the network as well. We'll be here. And thank you, Sandra, so much for staying with us. And yes, and I guess we have a question. Yes, let's go ahead. We have one question. We have a question from someone. Let's see who they are before we close it. So this digital wallet works on good internet connectivity. How is it accessible to rural remote communities where connectivity is a major challenge?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, as you know, I can see this person's coming from PIFs, the Pacific Islands. the first test of this whole system was in Vanuatu across 13 islands from north to south. And what we've done, particularly with the use of the tap and pay card, is to make sure that the system can still function offline. So people just need a mobile data connection. And the vendor only needs that mobile data connection to connect before he or she cashes out. And so what we told people in Vanuatu, actually, all of the vendors, is if you're having connectivity issues on Sunday when you go to church, please just catch the connection, update your app, and click cash out. So we do build for these environments, for complex environments, for environments with poor infrastructure. And it has worked in those environments, I think, is the most important thing. It actually worked for almost 2 years in the previous response in Vanuatu.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, so you can cash out even if you don't have any connectivity, but you can collect when you don't have any connectivity.
You can pay without any connectivity. Mm-hmm. You can accumulate funds without any connectivity. When you cash out or just before you cash out, that is the time when you just need to connect to upload the data in the system. But if while somebody's shopping, if it's intermittent connectivity, the system still works. We validated that.
Okay, very nice. Second question we see still from Spencer, I'm sorry. What measures are in place that allows this platform to be safe in terms of protection and personal privacy details? Are there common challenges using this platform? I know the answer, but I'll let you.
Yeah, sure. We have data protection policies in place, right? We have a whole tech team that is fully compliant, not just in terms of data protection and personal privacy data being segregated, on the platform. We have anonymized views of the platform. So for example, if we have an NGO, there can be an admin that is in charge of the program and in charge of those funds that can, of course, onboard people and view their details. But if there's a partner or, a local staff, a field staff, or a donor that wants to see that data, we also offer anonymized view-only data of transactions. And finally, we have very robust compliance policies when it comes to know your customer. So we do know your customer on all beneficiaries. We do know your business on all organizations and vendors, but we also put in place, AML, CTF protections. We do background checks on everybody who's on the platform. Also just to ensure that our financial and regulatory compliance is also in play during that process. So it's something that's very important to us, especially because the data of the people that we are assisting is, a group of people who are particularly vulnerable. So yes, we do have and enforce those policies. We perform audits and security checks on a monthly basis to make sure, that there are no breaches, or if we need to make the system more robust, then our tech team does that.
Okay, wonderful. And I guess, is there any initial cost using this service? I guess I'll let you answer, Sandra, but I know we have 1 minute. What I would suggest as well, maybe if there is any question, Sandra, feel free to share your email. Where can we contact you?
Sure. My email is Sandra, SANDRA @emergingimpact.com.
Okay. Yeah. With this last question, maybe can be treated, on a one-on-one. And I see also a question from Carrie. And Carrie, I suggest also you reach out to Sandra. She's here for that. And I'd like to thank you again, Sandra, for this amazing explanation. And I see you very soon at the Finance Forum.
Sounds good. As usual, it's been a pleasure connecting with you again, Audrey. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Bye. Bye, everyone.